The Valerian research station Peaceful Dawn floated in space like a giant crystal flower. Its blue lights glowed softly in the darkness, making it look beautiful and peaceful. Commander Tessara stood in the control room, her see-through skin shimmering as she watched the screens with worry. Something was very wrong. "Commander, we have a big problem," said Science Officer Nethel. His forearms were shaking as he worked at his station. "I'm seeing 37 ships coming toward us really fast. They look like Grimlock warships." Tessara felt her heart sink. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Grimlocks. They were the worst kind of aliens, mean, violent, and greedy. They traveled from planet to planet, taking prisoners and forcing them to work in dangerous mines. Their ships were huge, dark, and covered with weapons that could destroy entire cities. "How much time do we have?" she asked quietly. 14 hours? Maybe less," Nethel replied, his voice cracking with fear. The research station was home to over 300 peaceful aliens from 12 different worlds. They were all scientists who had come here to study the beautiful gas, a giant planet nearby. The planet had amazing storms and colors that no one had ever seen before. These scientists just wanted to learn and discover new things. They had never hurt anyone. But the station had no weapons. No strong shields. Nothing that could stop a Grimlock attack. Tessara walked to the big window and looked out at the stars. She could see the gas giant spinning slowly, its purple and gold clouds swirling like paint in water. Soon, all of this peaceful beauty might be destroyed. "Commander, what should we do?" asked Dr. Zenmalik, a friendly alien who looked like a walking tree. "Should we try to run? Our ships are too slow," Tessara said sadly. "The Grimlocks would catch us in minutes." The whole control room became quiet. Everyone was scared. Some of the younger scientists started crying. Others just stared at the screens, watching the red dots get closer and closer. Then Tessara had an idea. It was their only chance. "Listen to me, everyone," she said, turning to face her crew. "We're going to send out a distress call. We'll broadcast it on every frequency. We have to every corner of the galaxy." "But Commander," said Nethel, "who would help us?" "Most species are too afraid of the Grimlocks to fight them." "Maybe," Tessara said, "but maybe there's someone out there who isn't afraid. Someone strong enough to stand up to bullies." She walked to the communication station and started typing the message herself. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls as she wrote their desperate plea for help. "Emergency broadcast to all spacefaring civilizations," she spoke into the microphone. "This is Commander Tessara of the Valerian Research Station, Peaceful Dawn. We are peaceful scientists under attack by a Grimlock invasion fleet. We have no weapons and cannot defend ourselves. 300 innocent beings will die unless someone helps us. Please, if anyone can hear this message, we need your help." She added their exact location in space. Detailed information about the Grimlock ships and everything else that might help a rescue force find them. The message shot out into space faster than light, racing toward distant stars and unknown worlds. Meanwhile, the Grimlock fleet kept getting closer. Their ships looked like giant metal sharks, painted black and red. Each one was as big as a small city, with huge guns sticking out from every side. On the lead ship, Admiral Groktar sat in his command chair, smiling with his sharp teeth. He was covered in scars from 50 different battles. His skin was gray and rough like stone, and his eyes glowed red in the dark. "Look at this pretty little station," he said to his officers. "It's like a ripe fruit waiting to be picked." "Admiral, should we demand their surrender?" asked his second-in-command. Groktar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Why? They can't fight back. We'll just take what we want and drag the survivors back to the mines. The smart ones will make good scientists for our weapons programs." Had done this hundreds of times before. Find a peaceful world or station, attack it, take everything valuable, and capture the people to use as slaves. It was easy money for the Grimlock Empire, but Admiral Groktar had never encountered humans before. Far away, at the edge of space that humans had explored, Captain Kong Daeho was having a quiet day on his patrol ship Han River. He was drinking coffee and reading reports when his communication officer suddenly sat up straight. "Captain, I'm getting a strange signal," she said. "It's not from any of our colonies." Deho put down his coffee cup. "What kind of signal?" "It's a distress call, sir, from aliens." Captain Deho had been in the Space Force for 20 years. He had fought pirates, explored new worlds, and kept the peace on the frontier. But he had never heard from alien species before. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now he knew they weren't. And somewhere out there, innocent people needed help. Captain Kong Deho stood on the bridge of his ship, Han River, staring at the screens around him. The soft blue lights made his tired face look older than his 42 years. He had been flying through space for more than 20 years, protecting human colonies and fighting off pirates. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. "Captain, you need to see this," said Communications Officer Lee Min-young. Her hands were shaking as she worked at her station. "I'm getting a signal from somewhere way out there. It's not from any of our people." Deho walked over to her quickly. On the screen, strange symbols were changing into words he could understand. As he read the message, his eyes grew wide. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Are you sure this is real?" "Yes, sir. The computer has checked it 3 times. These are real aliens, and they're asking for help." The message was heartbreaking. Hundreds of peaceful scientists were about to be attacked by something called the Grimlock Empire. They had no weapons, no way to fight back. They were going to die unless someone saved them. Deho felt his heart racing. This was it. First contact with alien life. But instead of a happy meeting, it was a cry for help. "Get me Earth Command." "Right now," he ordered. "Use the emergency channel." "Sir, that will take a few minutes to connect," Min-young said. "Then make it faster. Lives are at stake." While they waited, Deho read the alien message again. The translation software had worked perfectly, turning their words into Korean. These aliens sounded scared, but brave. They were willing to share everything they knew about their attackers, if it might help someone save them. Finally, the main screen lit up with the face of Admiral Park Jae-sung. The older man's silver hair was perfectly neat, and his uniform was spotless. He had led human fleets through the worst battles in space, including the big war on Mars 10 years ago. "Captain Kong, this better be important," Park said. "I was in a meeting with the president." "Sir, we've made contact with aliens," Deho said simply. Admiral Park's serious expression changed to shock, then excitement, then worry, as Deho explained the situation. "How many enemy ships?" Park asked, leaning forward. 37, sir. Big ones, according to the aliens. And these Grimlocks sound like the worst kind of bullies. They attack peaceful people and force them to work as slaves." Park was quiet for a moment. Behind him, Deho could hear people running around and shouting orders. The news was spreading fast through Earth Command. "Captain, I want you to stay where you are and keep listening to their signals," Park said. "I'm sending the 3rd Fleet to help them." The 3rd Fleet, Deho was surprised. That was 18 of humanity's best warships. "This is bigger than just saving some aliens, Captain. This is humanity's first impression on the galaxy. We need to show everyone what we stand for."
Admiral?
Park's face became stern. "These Grimlocks picked the wrong species to mess with. They're about to learn why we call Earth a death world." The connection ended and Deho turned to his crew. Everyone on the bridge had heard the conversation, and they all looked excited and nervous. Lieutenant Commander Choi Soo-ben, his weapons officer, was already working at her computer. "Captain, I'm running some tests on the alien data about these Grimlock ships. What do you think?" Deho asked. "They're big and scary looking, but they seem to be built for show more than fighting. Look at this." She put the enemy ship designs on the main screen. "These ships are huge, but they're not very fast. They probably just scare their enemies." Into giving up without a real fight, Deho smiled grimly. Well, they're about to meet someone who doesn't scare easily. Meanwhile, all across human space, the 3rd Fleet was getting ready for battle. Admiral Yoon Sung-woo sat in his command chair on the giant battleship Seoul, reading reports about their mysterious enemy. At 58 years old, Yoon had fought in more space battles than anyone else alive. He had defended the asteroid. Mining stations from pirate attacks led the attack on the rebel bases near Jupiter, and commanded the fleet that finally ended the Mars Rebellion. "Admiral, All ships are ready for hyperspace jump, reported his navigation officer. Good communications? Send a message to all ship captains. Tell them we're not just fighting for some aliens we've never met. We're fighting to show the galaxy who humans really are. The message went out to all 18 ships. On the destroyer, Bushan, Captain Shin Wujin, checked his weapons one more time. On the cruiser Incheon, Captain Jung Mikyeon made sure her crew knew their battle plans. Every ship was ready. These were the best ships humanity had ever built. They were fast, tough, and covered with weapons that had been tested in real battles. More importantly, they were crewed by people who had grown up on Earth, a world so dangerous that just surviving there made you strong. All ships, this is Admiral Yoon, came the voice over the radio. We're about to jump into hyperspace. In 6 hours, we'll drop back into normal space and face an enemy that thinks they can pick on innocent people. Let's show them what happens when they mess with a Deathworld species. The 18 ships of the Third Fleet disappeared into hyperspace, racing toward a battle that would change galactic history forever. Back on the Han River, Captain Daeho watched his sensors as the alien distress calls kept coming. The peaceful scientists were still trapped, still scared, but now they had hope. "Captain," said Minyoung, "I'm picking up the alien signals more clearly now. They're thanking us." "For what?" "We haven't done anything yet." "For answering." "Their call, sir? They say in all the history of their galaxy, no one has ever come to help strangers before." Daeho felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of galaxy were they entering, where helping others was so unusual? Soon, everyone would find out what humans were really made of. The Grimlock war fleet was almost at the research station when something incredible happened. Space itself seemed to rip apart like torn fabric. Bright white light poured out of the tears. And then ships began appearing. Ships like nothing anyone in the galaxy had ever seen before. The human Third Fleet came out of hyperspace in a perfect line, looking like deadly hunting sharks compared to the bulky Grimlock vessels. The flagship Seoul led the way, its black metal surface shining like a mirror in the starlight. The human ships were smaller than the Grimlock ones, but they moved with a grace that made them look alive and dangerous. On the research station, Commander Tessara pressed her face against the observation window. Her translucent skin was glowing with excitement and relief. "By the ancient stars," she whispered, "someone actually came." The 18 human ships spread out in a protective formation around the research station. It was like watching a pack of wolves surround their cubs, ready to fight anything that threatened them. "Commander," said Science Officer Netho, his forearms working frantically at his controls, "the new ships are trying to talk to us." The main screen in the station's control room flickered and then showed the bridge of the human flagship. Everyone on the station gasped. They were looking at their first human being. Admiral Yoon Sung-woo stood in the center of his bridge, looking calm and confident. His dark uniform was perfectly neat, and his eyes were sharp and intelligent. When he spoke, his voice was strong and clear. "This is Admiral Yoon Sung-woo of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said. The station's computers quickly translated his words into all the different alien languages. "To everyone on the research station, you are now under the protection of the Human Republic. You are safe." Then his expression became harder as he looked toward the Grimlock fleet. "To the Grimlock ships, stop your attack immediately and leave this system now." On the research station, every scientist was cheering and crying with joy. They had been so scared, thinking they were going to die or become slaves. Now these strange new aliens called humans had come to save them, but the Grimlocks were not impressed. Admiral Groktar sat on his command throne aboard his massive warship, laughing so hard that his sharp teeth gleamed in the red light of his bridge. His gray skin was covered in scars from dozens of battles, and his red eyes glowed with cruel amusement. "Look at these pathetic creatures," he said to his officers. 18 tiny ships think they can fight our 37 battle cruisers? They must be the stupidest species in the galaxy. Groktar had conquered 50 different worlds. He had destroyed entire civilizations and enslaved millions of beings. No one had ever dared to challenge him like this. He opened a communication channel to the human admiral, still chuckling. "I am Groktar. Conqueror of worlds, Admiral of the Grimlock Imperial Fleet, you have made a terrible mistake, humans. Leave now, or I will destroy your pathetic little ships and take your people as slaves too. On the human flagship, Admiral Yoon's face didn't change at all. He had heard threats like this before from pirates and rebels. Admiral Grokatar, this is your last chance. Take your fleet and leave these innocent people alone. Groktar's laughter got even louder. Innocent. There are no innocent beings in this galaxy, only the strong and the weak. And you, human, are clearly weak. Maybe I'll keep you alive long enough to watch your ships burn. Behind Admiral Yoon, his bridge crew was working quietly and efficiently. Commander Kim Haijin, his tactical officer, looked up from her weapons console. Sir, all our ships are ready for battle. The enemy fleet is moving into attack position. Admiral Yoon nodded once. These Grimlocks had no idea what they were dealing with. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They had learned to fight in the mountains, in the deserts, in the frozen Arctic, and in the depths of space. Every human ship was crewed by people who had grown up on a world so dangerous that just surviving there made them tough as steel. Send the signal to all ships, Yoon said calmly. Weapons free. Time to show these bullies what happens when you pick on people who can't fight back. On the destroyer Busan, Captain Shin Woo-jin felt his ship's engines come to life beneath his feet. His crew had been training for this moment their whole careers. All hands, battle stations. Target the enemy engines first. On the cruiser Incheon, Captain Jang Mi-kyung was checking her ship's weapons systems. Her plasma cannons were charged and ready. Helm, prepare for evasive maneuvers. These Grimlock ships are big, but I bet they're slow. Grost. The human fleet. 18 ships prepared for battle. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering, built to fight in space battles where one mistake meant death. Their crews were the best of the best, veterans of fights against pirates, rebels, and anyone else who threatened innocent people. Admiral Grokatar was still laughing when his sensor officer suddenly looked up with panic in his eyes. Admiral, the human ships are powering up weapons we've never seen before. Their energy readings are off the charts. Impossible, Grokatar snarled. They're just trying to scare us. All ships, attack formation. Let's crush these insects. As the first shots were fired, Grokatar was about to learn something that would terrify him for the rest of his life. These humans weren't just any alien species. They came from a world so violent and dangerous that it had forged them into the ultimate warriors. The battle for the research station was about to begin. The galaxy would never be the same. The moment the battle started, space around the research station turned into a deadly light show. Bright plasma bolts flew everywhere, like deadly fireworks. The Grimlock fleet charged forward in a straight line, just like they always did. Their huge black ships fired their weapons at the same time, creating walls of burning energy. But something was wrong. The human ships weren't acting like normal. Captain Shin Woo-jin stood on the bridge of his destroyer Busan, as enemy fire rained down on them. Plasma bolts that could melt through mountain-sized asteroids hit his ship's armor and just bounced off like raindrops. Impossible, he heard one of the Grimlock captains screaming over the radio. Our weapons should have destroyed them already, Woo-jin smiled coldly. These aliens had no idea what Earth was like. Human ships were built to survive the crushing. Gravity of gas giants, the radiation storms near the sun, and the freezing cold of deep space. A few plasma bolts were nothing compared to what they dealt with every day. Target their engines, Woo-jin told his weapons officer. Those big ships can't turn very fast. The Busan fired its plasma lances with perfect accuracy. Two Grimlock cruisers suddenly stopped moving as their engines exploded in brilliant flashes of light. They were sitting ducks now. This is too easy, said his tactical officer. They fight like they've never faced real opposition before. Across the battlefield, every human ship was proving the same point. The destroyer Gwangju spun through a cloud of enemy fire like a dancer. Its captain using moves he had learned fighting pirates in the asteroid belts. The cruiser Daegu fired its weapons while flying backwards. Something that made the Grimlock pilots panic in confusion. But it was Captain Jang Mi-kyung on the cruiser Incheon, who really showed the galaxy what human creativity could do. "Helm, take us around the moon," she ordered, studying the tactical display. "I have an idea." "Ma'am, that will take us away from the battle," her navigation officer said, confused. "Trust me," Mikyon replied with a dangerous smile. The Incheon flew toward the gas giant's largest moon, picking up speed as the moon's gravity pulled them faster and faster. Just as they were about to crash into the rocky surface, Mikyon gave the order, "Full power to engines now." The ship used the moon's gravity like a giant slingshot, shooting out the other side at incredible speed. They came up behind a group of 6 Grimlock battleships that never saw them coming. "Everything we have," Mikyon commanded. The Incheon's weapons lit up like the 4th of July. Plasma cannons, missile launchers, and laser batteries all fired at once. 3 Grimlock ships exploded immediately. The other 3 were so badly damaged they could barely move. On his flagship, Admiral Groktar watched his fleet being destroyed and couldn't believe what he was seeing. In 50 battles across 50 worlds, no one had ever fought back like this. "How are they doing this?" he roared at his officers. "We have twice as many ships." "Sir, their tactics don't match anything in our database," his tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. "They're using the planet's gravity, the asteroid field, even the radiation from the star as weapons." One of his captains came on the radio screaming in panic. "Admiral, help us. One human ship just flew through our formation and disabled 4 of our vessels. They're not fighting like any civilized species should." That was the problem. Humans weren't civilized in the way other galaxy species understood it. They had learned to fight on a world that tried to kill them every single day. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, deadly animals, poisonous plants, extreme heat. Freezing cold Earth had thrown everything at humanity for millions of years, and humanity had not just survived, they had learned to turn every challenge into a weapon. On the research station, the peaceful alien scientists watched the battle with amazement and growing excitement. Commander Tissera couldn't look away from the screens. "Nathal, are you recording all of this?" she asked. "Yes, Commander, but I don't understand what I'm seeing. Their battle coordination is perfect. It's like they're all thinking with one mind." Dr. Zen Malik, the tree-like alien, was studying the human ships with his scientific instruments. "Their technology isn't that much better than the Grimlocks," he said in wonder. "But the way they use it, it's like watching artists at work." On the human flagship Sol, Admiral Yoon watched his fleet tear through the enemy formation like sharks through a school of fish. His bridge crew worked with the calm efficiency of people who had trained for this moment their entire lives. "Sir, enemy casualties are at 70%, reported Commander Kim Haijin. "Their formation is completely broken." "Any word from their flagship?" Yoon asked. Just then, Lieutenant Commander Han Soyoung looked up from her communications console. "With surprise? Sir Admiral Groktar is trying to contact us. He's asking to surrender." The entire bridge went quiet. In less than 30 minutes, the mighty Grimlock fleet had been reduced to burning wreckage and fleeing survivors. "Put him on screen," Yoon ordered. The face that appeared was very different from the confident, cruel admiral who had threatened them earlier. Groktar's red eyes were wide with fear, and his scarred face showed complete defeat. "Please," he said, his voice shaking. "I surrender. My fleet surrenders. Just ... Just don't destroy us all." Admiral Yoon stared at him for a long moment. "You came here to hurt innocent people? You're going to make them slaves." I know, Groktar said desperately. "But please, show mercy. We didn't know what you were." Yoon's voice became as cold as the space between. "Stars, go back to your empire, Admiral. Tell them that Earth protects those who cannot protect themselves. Tell them that any species that hurts innocent people will have to answer to humanity." He paused, making sure Groktar understood every word. "And tell them that if we ever see Grimlock ships attacking peaceful people again, we won't be so generous next time." The transmission ended, and the surviving Grimlock ships limped away into hyperspace as fast as they could go. The galaxy had just learned that humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 days after the Great Battle, something amazing was happening at the research station. Ships were arriving from all over the galaxy, not to attack this time, but to see what had happened. News of the human victory had spread faster than anyone could believe. Commander Ensura stood next to Admiral Yoon on the station's observation deck, watching human repair teams fix the small damage from the fight. The human workers moved like they had done this 1,000 times before, calm and professional, even in the middle of alien technology they had never seen. Admiral Tessara said, her musical voice filled with curiosity, "I have to ask you something. Why did you come to save us? You didn't know us. You risked your lives for complete strangers." Admiral Yoon looked out at the stars, his face showing the wisdom of someone who had seen many battles. "On Earth, we believe that strong people should protect weak people. It's not just something we say, it's who we are inside." Captain Kong Dae-ho walked up to them, holding a tablet computer that was beeping nonstop. "Sir, you're not going to believe this. We're getting messages from over 200 different alien species. Everyone wants to talk to us." The Grimlocks, Yoon asked. "Gone, sir. They pulled all their ships out of this part of space. I think we scared them pretty badly." In the days that followed, the research station became like a busy airport but for spaceships. Every few hours, a new alien vessel would arrive. Some looked like giant crystals that sparkled in the starlight. Others were shaped like sea creatures, flowing and organic. A few were so strange that humans couldn't even figure out which end was the front. Dr. Lim. Yoon-hai was having the time of her life. As Earth's first alien expert, she got to meet creatures that most humans couldn't even imagine. She worked with the Valerian scientists to create translation programs and learn about different alien cultures. "Your people are so interesting," Tessara told her during one of their work sessions. "Most species in the galaxy are either very peaceful or very aggressive, but humans are both at the same time." "How is that possible?" Dr. Lim smiled. "Maybe that's what makes us good protectors. We know how to fight when we need to, but we also know when to stop fighting." The news about humanity spread through the galaxy like a wildfire. On distant worlds, alien leaders were having emergency meetings. The peaceful species were excited finally, someone who could protect them from bullies. The aggressive species were worried these humans might stop their plans to conquer new worlds. The Cortheon Collective was a group of alien merchants who traveled between the stars selling goods. They sent Ambassador Veldin to meet with the humans. Veldin looked like a walking octopus with golden skin and 8 arms that were always moving. "Humans," he said through his translator, "we would like to trade with you. We have rare metals and technologies. What do you want in exchange?" "Just friendship," Admiral Yoon replied. "And a promise that you'll help us protect innocent people when they need it." Veldin was confused. Most species wanted money or territory. These humans just wanted to help others? The Zenithari Republic had been suffering under Grimlock attacks for years. They sent a delegation, asking for help. Their leader, President Kalana, looked like a tall, thin bird with blue feathers and huge, intelligent eyes. "Please teach us to defend ourselves," she begged. "For too long we've been helpless against raiders and conquerors." "We'll send military advisors," Yoon promised. "But remember, weapons are only as good as the people who use them. We'll teach you to fight, but more importantly, we'll teach you when not to fight." The most important visitors came from something called the Galactic Peace Council. For hundreds of years, this group had tried to keep peace in the galaxy, but they had no army, no weapons, no way to enforce their decisions. They were like police officers without any power to arrest criminals. Council. Leader Mordain was an ancient alien who looked like a wise old tree with glowing bark. He spoke in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves. "Humans of Earth," he said formally, "the Galactic Peace Council invites your species to join us as protector species. This is a new title we have created just for you." "What does that mean?" Admiral Yoon asked. "It means when peaceful species call for help, you have the authority to answer that call with force if necessary. You would be the galaxy's guardians." Admiral Yoon looked around at his fellow humans, then back at the alien council leader. We accept, but with conditions. We won't be anyone's attack dogs. We decide when and how to use force. We'll always try to solve problems peacefully first. The alien nodded his tree-like head. That is exactly why we chose you, Captain Park. Young-Soo arrived with his small fleet to set up a permanent human base at the research station. The station was expanded with human defensive platforms, weapons that could protect it from any future attacks. Sir Young-Soo reported to Admiral Yoon. Earth Command says we're getting distress calls from 17 other parts of the galaxy. Word about us is spreading fast. Yoon nodded. Then we need to be ready. The galaxy is bigger than we thought, and there are a lot of people out there who need help. As the main human fleet prepared to return to Earth, all the alien scientists gathered to say goodbye. Many of them had tears in their eyes, or whatever they used instead of eyes. Thank you, Tassara said, speaking for all of them. You didn't just save our lives, you changed everything. The SOS distress call that had started as a desperate cry for help had become humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. Instead of arriving as conquerors or traitors, humans had announced themselves as protectors. Across the galaxy, the message was spreading. Earth had arrived, and the age of bullies picking on the weak was coming to an end. The end.